His doctor advised not to take non-veg, and that is the reason. So this food habit, why should a race which came from Germany or Iran or from Middle East become all of a sudden vegetarian as soon as it comes to India? Nobody threatened them to do it. It is of their own accord. Their scriptures teach that. That is why they do it. And the next point is this mentality and outlook of Brahmin. A Brahmin looks upon the rest of the world according to the teachings of Brahma Sutras, the Upanishads, the Vedas. He says, Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. He is very peace-loving, Platonic. He is taught to be as kind to all living beings, not only human beings, but also to animals, birds. Don't kill birds, don't kill animals, don't do harm to any neighbor. You must be very kind. But an average German is violent, militant, aggressive. He is ever ready to fight with others. He loves rifles. The World War teaches us how Germans were mad with the tendency to fight with others. Such a tendency is basically not seen in Brahmins. Now coming to the hairstyle and dressing. A Brahmin has a tuft on his head, which he calls shika in Sanskrit. He grows hairs to a certain length and makes a knot out of it. It's called a tuft. Some people shave the front part of the head. What is the way of his dressing? Usually he exposes his upper part of the body. He doesn't wear a banian, he doesn't wear a shirt. An Orthodox Brahmin wears this holy thread across his chest. Then he wears around his loins, waist, a dhoti, which is called Panchakacha Veshti. Whereas a German dresses up fully, hat on the head, boots on his feet, coat, necktie, tucked in shirts, pants. His way of dressing is different. He never has a tuft. You can't see a German with a tuft unless he opts to it for fancy or for some other reason. Then, the next point is the caste consciousness. That is, the German believed that he belongs to the master race of the world. He wouldn't like to obey anybody. He wouldn't like to be punished or ruled by anybody. That is why they waged war against the world. They said, we will rule the whole world. But here, as per the Varnashrama Dharma, we read in the Manusmriti, if a Brahmin commits a serious crime, even though he is supposed to be the topmost person in the Varnashrama caste order, the second person to him, that is the Kshatriya, the king, had full rights to punish the Brahmin. We read about occasions when a Brahmin was shaved off his head, completely bald, and driven away from his city to some other foreign land. Such punishments were allowed in the Shastras, which are said to have been written by Brahmins to make themselves superior to the other communities. Whereas a German would never tolerate this. He would never bow down his head to any other race for that matter. Then we come to the profession, occupation. Basically a Brahmin is a priest. I am talking about the Orthodox Brahmin, traditional Brahmin. They were known for their 6 deeds. That is, they will do sacrifice yajna, or they will cause a yajna to be done. They will learn Vedas or they will teach Vedas. They will get free gifts or they will give free gifts. Men of 6 deeds, they said. If all these 6 deeds are not possible for them to make a living, they were given the license to go for agriculture. Other than this, they were not allowed. No other profession was allowed to them. So basically they were cut out for spiritual motives. Whereas coming to the German culture, the Germans were not by profession priests. They were not professional priests at all. Their professions were multivarious in kinds, in types. Then the 16th point is, Indian Brahmins were very accommodative. Accommodative in the sense, if there was a great man in other communities, their own Shastras taught them to bow their heads to him. According to the Varnashrama Dharma, they are supposed to be on the topmost cadre. Suppose a man who belongs to the lower cadre happens to be a great soul, that is a Mahatma, a saint, the Brahmin would kneel down. We have hundreds of stories when a Brahmin bowed down before a non-Brahmin saint. In India, we have the stories of numerous non-Brahmin saints, saints belonging to the lower castes. Whereas you cannot expect such a behavior from the German. They would never accept a Jew to be a great soul or a saint. Even if God were to be incarnated as a Jew, they won't obey him. They won't salute him. They would hate him. They would always say, we belong to the highest race. So this accommodative mentality is a basic difference between this German race and the Brahmin race. Now, we are talking of Indian history, where we find Germans coming to India seeking employment. There are instances, very many in Indian literature, where these Germans sought the shelter of Indian kings. They sought appointment. Indian kings employed them as carpenters or as engineers, as technicians. They were given a different nomenclature. They were called Yavanas. But they were forced to live outside the city. They were given outskirt quarters. They were not allowed to live inside the city. These Yavanas had their own culture, their own families, their own marriages. They never mingled with these Indian families. Not only Brahmins, even non-Brahmins did not allow these Yavanas to come and marry their women. They were kept aside. So, Indian literature is not new to these people. They were well aware of this migration. There were people from foreign lands making a living here. Then, coming to the aesthetic aspect,